Hi everybody, thanks for joining us for Northern Ag TV. Well, we all know what presents the biggest opportunity and threat for the ag industry. It's not the markets and it's not government policy, of course, it's the weather. At AgWest Farm Credit's Ag Outlook Conference in Billings, I had the chance to talk with atmospheric scientist Eric Snodgrass about what the weather forecast may hold. First though, I asked him to characterize 2025. That's been a strange year with lots of drought across the region, but also a heck of a lot of moisture in some areas.
What's interesting was the start off to this year, right? We had a La Nina last year. We have one this year. So there's some concern like, we're going to get typical La Nina winter stuff. We need to know that because generally in Montana, we like La Ninas. Yes, they do tend to deliver a whole lot more cold air, but we tend to get the mountains full of snow. Our river systems tend to do well. We don't tend to start off spring with a lot of major deficits. But yes, 2025 did. And then moisture came out of the Gulf. I mean, clear from the Gulf, all of July. And all of a sudden it was wet and stormy. We were just watching this moisture. And then we get later in the season, and after the kind of summer ended, it went really, really dry. So here's what I think about when I think about Montana. I always think about the attack angle of the atmosphere. So our mountains are the biggest component to our entire climate system. You know, we have the mountains, we have the plains. And if we find that the jet stream is going to attack the mountains perpendicular, they're going to hit like this, we are full on rain shadow. That's the problem. We're going to not have the moisture. The pasture's not going to green up. We're going to have issues with any crop because we're just not going to have the right kind of flow. So you actually need the atmosphere to kind of attack from the southwest or from the northwest. Either's fine. One produces clippers, the other produces big lows. I don't care, but you get moisture out of that particular setup.
So what can we expect for the future? How's the winter going to shape up?
Most indications are this winter's going to be good. Now, what is a good winter? Good for me is often different from good from the public, for example. Good winters for me are active. There's plenty to talk about. There's multiple low pressure systems. There's snow in the mountains. You know, they're not enjoyable unless you like outdoor sports, but you know, they're the kind that prevent you from going into a spring with major concerns. So all in all, we tend to like La Nina winters, and we're in one right now.
I know a lot of guys have felt like we've been in drought for the better part of a decade. So I asked Eric, what are the long-term trends showing as it relates to precipitation?
Actually, the longer-term trends, if you look at Montana total precipitation, there is no discernible useful trend going back all the way to 1895. Now, there's variability every year, but it's not like we're doing this or like this. And so as a consequence, what we're always trying to understand is this year one of these up years or down years? And where is the moisture? Because late in the summer, getting into fall, the moisture could not get into north central Montana. But it got the southern tier, it got the southeast. You know, we were bringing storm systems through there. So we have these regional droughts, which happens when your state is as massive as Montana is. So it's always one of the tricky things. You know, I can go to other places and just talk about the state and talk about the state's weather. In Montana, it's like, well, let me break you up into 6 regions because you have 6 state-sized regions that you have to pay attention to. But the longer-term trend is not, it's not something that I'm overly concerned about here for precipitation. It's just, are you going to be in an up or a down year this year?
To help producers address the weather risk and help with planning, Eric said he recently rolled out a new free website.
So the reality is everything I just told you could change tomorrow. So the idea here is that we want to have ability to be constantly updated on these things. So at Nutrient Ag Solutions, I have built a website. It's very simple, ag-wx.com. It's free. Go out there. You can get all your weather content. You can see the models update, all of them, the AI models, the normal models. You can see your historical weather, keep track of all of it. And we hope it's a useful tool that farmers, ranchers can use just to stay ahead of their biggest source of risk, which honestly is the weather. You might think it's geopolitics, you might think it's market prices, but the reality is you can have massive swings both in demand and supply simply from the atmosphere changing its mind. So we want to at least give you the best content we can there, ag-wx.com. Great website to go to.
Well, appreciate Eric's insights. You know, we always say this is next year country, so hopefully he's right and we'll be in for a better precipitation pattern next year. For the Northern Ag Network, I'm Colter Brown.